Thank you, Rich, for inviting me to the conference. I didn't sleep much in the last couple of weeks. I just have a newborn and a 3-year-old, so I didn't think much about AI for the last few weeks. But I committed to come here a few months ago, and I'm really happy to be here. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Let's see if we can put the presentation. Just quick intro about myself. You can see from my accent, I'm not from here. I'm from Spain. I've been living in the Bay Area for the last 5 years, and then before in Chicago. So it's kind of like my lifelong dream of moving to the Bay Area. And I'm leading a team of data scientists at IBM. So I spent over a decade working in AI, starting with all the innovations from IBM Watson, where we were very early in the game. And we didn't execute that well, but I think we were able to turn things around pretty well and focus more on the real value for business. So yeah, as I said, I worked before as a data scientist and in product. I've been a product manager for the Watson Studio and ML platform at IBM for the last few years. And then in the last 2 years, I've been leading a team of about 300 data scientists and worldwide, and we do projects for all our customers in all different areas, industries. And I'm here today not to talk to you about cool things like transformers or GPT-3 or DALI or things like that. I love those things, and I'm very involved on all these innovations and working with IBM researchers on this very cool technology. But I'm known at IBM for what is called boring AI. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you about something called Factsheets, which is something that we published as a research paper years ago at IBM. Maybe you know about it as model cards. That's very popular. In the last GTC NVIDIA conference, their CEO talked about model cards as a concept of like summarizing and giving all the information regarding an AI model. There are things about, there is also publications from Google, so it's becoming kind of a standard in the market. So I'm going to talk to you about the IBM flavor of that we've been working for many years. It's called AI fact sheets. But again, I'm not here to sell you anything. It's more of the concept that I want you to remember and where the market is going for these more like boring AI use cases that actually bring a lot of value. So I imagine if you're here, you are convinced about the promise of AI and machine learning, but the world is moving into this pretty regulated environment, especially for certain industries. So there are a lot of questions about how you put AI into production with confidence. How many people here are actually not only building models, but also working on putting those models into production? A lot of people, okay. And is anyone already facing any regulation, or for now it's still the wild, wild west and you can do whatever you want? No regulation? So I'm going to talk about how things are done today and where we're going, and then how we can do it in a responsible, explainable, and trusted way. And before, we were using these words a little bit just to show off and be fluffy, but now it's becoming a regulation, and I'll show you some examples. But we have something called the AI Adoption Index, which is this kind of like big survey that we do at IBM, and we ask many executives from many different industries how do they think about the importance of AI governance. And there are a lot of numbers here, but I just want to summarize this as 4 in 5 said that explaining how AI arrived to a decision is important for their business. So it is becoming important because of different factors. It is important for the integrity of their own brand and to provide trust to customers. It's important for external regulatory compliance that is coming in different countries. So maybe you're a global company, maybe you have to deploy a model in different ways, serving customers in different countries. You need to be able to tell data scientists that they need to provide certain things when they are developing models, and there is like a governance coming in for data and AI for the entire life cycle. And then it's important as well for internal reporting analysis, and then for things like bias mitigation and drift and things like that. So it's expanding. This is just, I think, this is a good chart. Shows a little bit the evolution of the AI policy timeline. From if we go from the left, we start with a lot of like governments talking about AI strategy. This AI thing is being deployed and in production and affecting things in real life. And all the governments, you can see Canadian, Japan, Germany, South Korea, like everyone was having these committees, these meetings, talking about AI strategy and what they can do to have a better understanding. And IBM has been in those meetings working with different regulators to make sure we don't stop progress and innovation, but we do it in a fair way, especially when we see this AI going into production. So you see also in red some popular finds that happen in the industry. So these are companies that had some finds because they used this technology in a way that was harmful for somebody. And then you can see all the way into the right that those AI strategy discussions are becoming regulations. And I hope you saw what happened with the New York City AI hiring law that was published, I think, last week. It's coming up next year. And again, it's all about how we implement AI in production for hiring and recruiting. So this is just a snapshot just to tell you this is happening, this is coming, and I'll show you some examples on what customers are asking me to do. But it's also not about only regulation, right? It's also about the reputation. I imagine most of you work for companies and you want to show to your customers as someone that they can trust, right? So poor governance can damage a lot consumer trust. So things like using personal information in a way that they feel is kind of not allowed by them, ensuring that the results are free from bias, and building consumer confidence, providing explanations for business decisions. There is this ESPN application where there is an AI system providing predictions, and they work with us, and there is like a small button there where you can tap and it will open up a full explanation on why the AI is making that decision. So we see more explanations on AI across the board. And I think you might be familiar with some of these tabloids here. One very popular one was when Amazon had this AI recruiting tool that was very biased against women, or another one is this Apple Car algorithm sparks gender bias allegations against Goldman Sachs. So there are like a lot of examples. Some of them are becoming viral, and some of them are kind of crazy. It's like, I think it was Microsoft that put like a full AI bot on Twitter, and obviously that thing went crazy, right? I don't even know who had the idea to do that, but it happened where it was supposed to happen, right? So, and things can go wrong very quickly and escalate, and then you get into the press, and then that gives you bad press, bad reputation. So this is a little bit the before, or I will say that today is not the before. It's like how many companies and people are still doing it, but what is coming, right? Where we are is low regulations and check reputation and pretty high risk. I think people are still see like the upside is bigger than the downside, but when things go wrong, they go really, really wrong, you know? So, so there is the reputation and the responsible AI side of it is just more about checking the accuracy of the model, checking the performance of the model, checking some of the data scientist kind of typical metrics, but there is not much regulation, right? Data scientists spend time mostly building models, deploying the models, and the trust comes after the fact, right? Where we're going is that for certain industries, not for everything, but I'm not generalizing here, but for many industries like banking, insurance, things like that, there is increased regulation. Brands care. Even if there is no regulation, executives want to protect the reputation of the company. So they are thinking beforehand on things like fairness, drift, explainability of those models. And then data scientists are working in the entire life cycle of the journey on how they will apply all these things in their work. So establishing this kind of end-to-end workflow with approvers and ways to lower risk, ways to document what's going on and what's happening. So that's introducing this concept of AI governance. I think we are all pretty familiar already with data governance. So now it's coming to the next level, which is AI governance, and Gartner is describing it as this process of creating policies, assigning decision rights, and ensuring organizational accountability for risk investment decisions for the application and use of AI. So this is becoming something more established right now. I'm gonna go quickly through this, but this is kind of like the evolution of like where we've been living the last couple of years, where we had the whole concept of data governance, then we moved into this open data governance, but now we are going right into data and AI governance and governance of, we call it robotics, but it doesn't have to be like a robot, like a humanoid, like the one from Tesla. It had any system that is kind of automated will need to be governed. And how do you do that? Like, this is what customers are coming to me right now, and they are asking. And I think these are pretty interesting opportunities for everyone to participate. Large French bank and French bank in EU, they start to have like pretty strong regulation in the financial industry. So we have executives coming to us saying we have more than 700 models into production, and users, we need to make sure those models are being used properly in the organization, and we want to be sure that we comply with future regulations. So they are preparing for what's coming, and they know at any point in time they will ask them to comply to certain regulations. Another one, a professional services firm, they are more worried about security frameworks and having their models attacked with adversarial attacks, and they want an end-to-end platform that is securing the entire process of machine learning. Or another one, a large German insurance provider, similar use case, they want their data science teams to be working already, keeping in mind all the new regulations in Germany. You know, so it's not something done after the fact. It's kind of like a set of guidelines that they get before they start working. And similar use case about another bank in Canada. So you can see a lot of banks, insurance companies. That's where kind of like the regulation is coming in first. I think a big part of regulation is reporting, right? Reporting and sharing what you are doing, and especially for AI, is making predictions how the AI decided something, right? So as I mentioned at the beginning, there is this concept of, at IBM we call it AI Factsheets. At NVIDIA and Google they call model cards. There are some open source projects. At the end of the day, is a way to monitor all the AI activities. And I think the magic happens here when you start to capturing all this model metadata from the entire life cycle, from data collection, data preparation, model training, and then when you put things into production, and then you have all the monitoring of the model into production, and it's making predictions. So we don't want to annoy data scientists, right, and ask them to document everything. So I think the magic happens when you can sort of automate this process, and I think that's what we've been doing a lot of work, right? So to kind of create a way to do this in an organized, automatic way. So there are a set of steps. Policy creation. We call it fact sheets templates. And we have templates by industry, we have templates by regulation, by country. So if you're working in a use case for, I don't know, fraud detection or credit risk scoring or something like that for a specific country, you'll have like a fact sheets template that automatically will tell you what you need to do to automatically collect all the metadata. We call it facts about that model end to end. And then it creates automatic reporting. It creates automatic reporting whether it's in a standard PDF, on a presentation, or in a specific format for a specific regulation. So this is the kind of like boring AI side. It's not creating art, it's not creating songs or podcasts, but it's becoming very important. It's very time consuming, and many projects will bring a lot of value, and you won't be able to go into production if you don't do these things. Sorry. There is one more thing I would like to show you. Do we have time? Yeah. I have a quick demo. I don't know if we will be able to play the whole demo. It's just to show you the concept, right? If we can play this video. But this is what we call...
As a disclaimer, everything you see here is today.
Can we switch off the audio, please?
But we will
Okay, thank you. So for some companies, we have this, what we call the MLOps dashboard, where you see all the pipelines and all the models in production. And it's this dashboard where some customers of ours, they have like hundreds of models and they can search for them. We moved from like an MLOps model dashboard into something more use case driven. We call it the model inventory. So here you see, in this case, this is just a dummy use case where you see two examples, right? A credit risk use case and a loan automation use case. And here, imagine you are in a big company, you'll have like many of these use cases. And you can search for them, you can give access to certain people to these use cases. And I hope the video is playing, because eventually we will expand one of those and you will have like a full view of the entire model lifecycle. And I won't have time to play the entire video. I'll make sure I share a link on my Twitter and you can watch the full video. But basically it shows the entire lifecycle of a machine learning model, from data collection, model training, evaluation of the model, and deployment of the model. And then you can see how you can access to all the metadata that is automatically collected. And you can see how you can apply those templates that I mentioned. And in the video, it just shows examples of that metadata being captured. And that metadata, what is that metadata? So when someone is coming and saying, how did you train this model? It's showing who trained the model, which data sets did you use, which features, which feature transformations, which algorithms, what are the evaluation metrics, like all this information. And the data scientist, when you are doing all this work, you don't need to do anything. You are training with your scikit-learn or EdgeBoost in your notebook. You just need to import a library and call a function, and then it's going to automatically inject all that metadata capture and will automatically be reported into your fact sheet. The same happens when you go into production. And again, this is not close to IBM. You can train on SageMaker, on Azure ML, on whatever you want. And then you can bring all those deployment predictions into a fact sheet. And from there, that's where you tie all that metadata into a template, a fact sheets template, and then you can export it, and then you can be compliant with whatever regulation you are facing. So if we can go back to the slides, in the last slide there is...
our demo of automatic.
Yeah, let's drop the video. And then in the last slide there are like a few links that you can go and check more about it, or just Google AI fact sheets. And there are some examples, and I think it's interesting if you are in some regulated environment to start looking into what's coming. Any questions?
Are you starting to see investors or customers make it a requirement on RFPs? Are investors starting to make it part of their ESG discussion?
Yeah. A lot of that. In fact, we have a product at IBM that we are adding kind of like an extension just to add the AI regulation compliance on top of that. So yeah, absolutely. And then on the investor side, I actually I published a blog. I have a community called NoCode.ai. I published a blog talking about transformers this week. But next week I'm back to talking about AI governance. And I have one slide where I show all the startups that are working on the AI trustworthy AI space. And I was even surprised. I didn't know there were so many. There are so many startups. There is so much investment going on in this space because we're moving into this highly regulated AI era. Anything else?
Yeah, one more here.
One more.
Yeah, sorry. Do the fact sheets collect something along the lines of how the data for the models is specifically collected and curated and everything regarding, for example, eliminating biases and everything?
So we plug it to a data lineage, and then we do have a component of bias detection and bias mitigation. So it does collect that at the data level, but that shows up also at the model level. So we have a component called OpenScale that is exactly about that. And that's the demo I wanted to show. It shows H bias and